Welcome to episode 4 of the Kilted Kickoff. I'm Dan and I'm here with my co-host Murray. Murray, how you doing, mate? How you feeling from yesterday?
I'm all right. It's not been great this weekend for me, result-wise, but it's fine because I'm here talking with you about rugby, which helps me get things through, so it's all good.
Yeah, I mean, the teams that you support, you've had an awful start to the season. You've got nothing.
And yet I'm still going strong, somehow.
Did the clocks going backwards yesterday catch you off guard today?
No, sorry.
No?
No.
I woke up and looked at my clock and I was like, oh man, I've overslept.
No, didn't notice it at all. I actually forgot the line, but oh well, here's what it is. How you getting on?
You're looking better than I'm feeling. I wouldn't say I'm hungover, but I'm just feeling off today after last night.
Well, to be fair, right, I'm not hungover. I did fall down my stairs last night though when I came in.
Really?
Yeah, I missed. So like my stairs has like a spiral at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just gone, just completely slipped. But I'm okay. It's okay. It means we had fun watching all the rugby.
Right. So yeah. So for those of you who haven't guessed by now, Murray came over to mine last night, and we had a couple of drinks, and we watched a lot of rugby that we're going to start chatting about at the moment because this is a rugby podcast. As much as we might like talking about it, I'm not sure how much these guys want to hear about our day-to-day life.
Yeah, valid.
So let's start off with some good news. Glasgow beating the Stormers 28-17.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great game. Great win.
Yeah. It's fantastic for Glasgow. I mean, they went down to South Africa, and the South African tours are so important to where you're going to finish at the end of the season. And Glasgow have taken 7 points away from a possible 10. Now, that's probably to their standards slightly disappointing, but to come away from 7 out of 10 on your South African tour is, that's good, and they deserve to be where they are at the table at the moment.
No, I agree 100% on that. I mean, it was just a really fun game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Just loose from Say that again?
I said all the tries were bangers. They were all of them absolute class.
Nothing wrong with any of the tries scored. All different in their own way, and of course Johnny Matthews, who we'll get into probably a bit later, scores first, but Captain Tuipulotu at your service. What an effort by Steven. And then the main man, my guy, Kyle Rowe, pace for day. That is just raw. You can't teach that.
Yeah, you can't teach that. But the thing is, he's been on really good form. The last 2 weeks in particular, he's looking to peak, and we'll get onto it when we do our squad prediction, but I think he could have a spot off of Doohan or Darcy for the autumn. Like, I think he deserve it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, Kyle Rowe has been on such great form so far.
I'm just happy he's now getting the game time. I said it to you yesterday at your house that Kyle Rowe's had such a weird career path, and it's to be admired. Let's be honest. Like, he worked at Amazon during the pandemic, got his big break with London Irish, got capped by Scotland, had a horrific injury on debut. That he was out that long. London Irish unfortunately folded. He then had to go and find a new club, which was obviously Glasgow Warriors. So he had to learn a new system, had to fight for his place again. He's now done that. He's been back in the Scotland team. And yeah, he is just cooking on all cylinders. And it's just awesome to watch. I love Kyle. He's a great guy away from the field as well. And seeing him carve it up on the pitch, it's just a feel-good story. We all love it.
Yeah, he's such a nice guy. Like, I've spoken to him after the games a couple of times. We had a good 5-10 minute conversation with him when we went down to Cardiff for the Six Nations, and he signed Jen's jersey and that. And he's just, a really, really good guy.
Yeah, yes. He's just lovely.
I mean, most of the Glasgow lads are, to be fair to them.
True.
So you hate to see it, though. Moving on to something else. Stormer scored the first try, but Williamson, looks like he's done something to his groin and he's going to miss the autumn.
Yeah, that. I do feel sorry for him because he's just back from injury. But
Yeah.
you know what? It is what it is. Somebody will take that opportunity, and it's just sad reality of sport that for every downfall there is someone there ready to chomp at the bit, and I'm excited, but it's fine. We'll stick to the thistle anyway.
And what did you think about Manny Laboc's yellow card in the game? I thought it should have been a penalty try myself. Because I know there was two men out to cover, but they were way off to his left.
Yeah.
Where who I can't remember who had the ball at the time, but Glasgow had two attacking players running in behind. With at that point there was cover coming across, but it wasn't there yet.
It's a tricky one because we're going to go on to it in a little bit, but ref, I'm not really one for talking about reffing, but yeah, in the next game it did kind of steal the show a little bit. So it's a tough one. I can see why the ref gave a yellow, and I can see where you're coming from on the penalty try, and I think they've kind of met in the middle and went.
And
they did score from it.
Would you have definitely scored? It is, would they have probably have scored? Is what he's to rule it on. And going on that, you'd think the likelihood of Glasgow scoring there would have been quite good. Although, look, it would have robbed Johnny Matthews of his try if he didn't, because, Laboc goes off, Glasgow get the penalty, they kick straight to the corner, and Matthews, goes over the line as to be expected. He made a line break, and then the second Manny Laboc comes back on later on in the game, Matthews clatters him. So I think he's showing Townsend, look, this is what you're missing by no picking me.
Yeah.
Tui Pelota's try was absolutely incredible.
The second try that he set up for Cancellieri, beautiful, and it's just unfortunate it was a forward pass. Yeah, it was a great proper line break, and it's just Sione just having defenders hanging off him is never getting old. I love it.
No, he's so strong. He shows why he should be captain. Cancellieri's set up for Tui Pelota's try as well was probably even better than the try itself.
Yeah.
Kyle Rowe's try was a great bit of individual skill. Glasgow love going coast to coast.
And
the way that they play, you're never safe at any point of the game. They can attack from anywhere. It doesn't matter if they're in their own 22. They will go coast to coast on you if you're not ready. Heko Venter has had, some career revival coming back from Glasgow as well. I think he's a bit of a workhorse that doesn't get enough credit.
Yeah, very solid squad player. Yeah, obviously not first choice, but if you see him on a team sheet, he's going to do a decent shift. So yeah,
no, absolutely, he's great. And look, I think that's one thing that Glasgow have, and I mean this in the best possible way. They've got a team of mostly journeymen. And look, they do have the star power scattering across, but when a couple of years ago, before Glasgow won the URC, if I was looking at Edinburgh and Glasgow squad on paper, you would have said Edinburgh squad was stronger. But Glasgow, and this is probably all credit to Franco Smith, have this dog in them. They've got this never say die attitude, this grit that's hard to really pinpoint it, but they've got that roughness to them that makes them so hard to beat. And even if you do manage to have them beaten like the Sharks did the other week, Glasgow will refuse to come away empty-handed. They'll walk away with something.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think it's more now just down to the players within Glasgow are willing to sacrifice everything for each other, which is obviously shows how tight they are as a team.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's to be admired. It was a great performance, and hats off to them.
No, it was great. So, should we move across to Edinburgh then, shall we?
Yeah, if we must.
So, the Ospreys 22, Edinburgh 13. Yep. Just when we thought Edinburgh was, out in the clear, they pull us back in. What do you think of the game?
I don't like it. And it's not because Edinburgh lost, but I thought the game was just really boring. Nothing quite. Ospreys yes, Ospreys took advantage of what was in front of them, and that's how they got the win. But Edinburgh looked really flat. Ospreys weren't perfect. I mean, how many times did Owen Williams miss points from the tee? It was just all from discipline.
Points out there.
And there was some stars in the game, like Jack Morgan, player of the match, very well deserved, but nothing happened. And I'm not one for getting frustrated about a referee, but I believe this was his first ever referee in position for the URC.
Was it? I have to say, I never recognised him when he came on. And you always want to give him the benefit of the doubt.
But for those that don't know, about 20, 25 minutes in, there's a high ball that goes up. Duhan van der Merwe. I mean, you can see the replay. He has his eyes on the ball. He is looking up to the sky, tracking the ball. He bumps into the referee. Now, week in, week out, we see the referee hit the ground or like be in a wrong position. They kind of just brush them off. Sorry, that was my fault. Scrum to the team that affected. We move on. Usually, you have like a 5-second laugh about it, make sure everyone's all right. Right, let's move on. This referee was having none of it. He blew the whistle, awarded Ospreys a penalty, and claimed that Duhan van der Merwe deliberately pushed him.
Yeah,
and then
I've got
was adamant with
right. First of all, Duhan van der Merwe had to move out of the way of Darcy Ray just to get there.
Yeah.
Also, if the referee's intention was, well, if he thought that Duhan had targeted him deliberately, you send him off. So even if that was his trail of thought, he made the incorrect decision. But he seemed to take it personally after that. I don't think Edinburgh won any penalties at all.
No.
After that incident, the refs seemed to just get it in his head that, Edinburgh were out to get him, and he felt personally attacked, and that influenced his decisions. Through the rest of the game.
Jamie Ritchie getting a yellow card for back-to-back offside plays. Nonsense. He might have been offside on one of them, but it shows the replay, and I'm like, where's he offside? And that's not even me being biased.
Yeah, and there was
one of them. I'm like, please, enlighten me where Jamie Ritchie was offside in this. And then the fact that we spoke about the final try for the Ospreys, Marshall Sykes took a shoulder to the head in the build-up.
Yeah,
was never checked. Why?
There was that. There was a couple other ones as well. There was that Hamish Watson got in under it, and the ref shouted release, and he released him immediately. But then the referee gave a penalty for not releasing. It was.
There was a try awarded. Remember that the referee said on field that it was a try, but none of us could see the ball.
Yeah, it looked like someone got there underneath. So to everyone, even the commentators thought the ball was held up, and then so many people piled on, and the ref just like, try. It felt like after that Duhan incident, he took it personally. Now, look, I don't want to blame it all on the ref. No. The ref wasn't the reason that Edinburgh lost that game. Edinburgh were poor.
I agree. Edinburgh were poor. Like we were very flat, and there was a lot of mistakes. But how many times did Duhan get involved in the game after that decision? He wasn't. It was like he was too scared to get involved. Which isn't great, because compared to last week, Duhan made over 100 meters last week against Cardiff, and was on song, getting a try, just being very elusive everywhere. He was always present last week, and then because of a dodgy decision, it's almost just like, I'm not getting involved. It was almost like, I can't risk it. We've got the internationals coming up. If I even get involved,
if I get a red card or if I get another yellow, that's me missing, playing the World Champions.
Exactly. And I can understand it, but it was just an absolute farce of a game. I didn't like it. I don't like losing, but I don't mind if it's an enjoyable game. and the other team deserved it. I don't feel like anyone really deserved that win. I think somebody commented on my TikTok that like the game was that boring. Could you not just award both teams 2 losing bonus points and be done with it? So I was like, oh dear, right. So yeah, it wasn't great. Harry Patterson's back though, so that's fantastic.
Mhm.
Having him back, Glenn Young back from injury as well.
Harry Patterson, it's good to see him back, but he's got some catching up to do, in my opinion. He ran down no support a couple of times.
Yeah,
there was a couple of times where he tried to go himself when the better option would have been to pass.
Yeah, but I think that's just game rust. I mean, he's not. That's his first game. Well, for Edinburgh Firsts anyway, this season. Glenn Young's just back from his injury as well, and he looked a bit rusty as well. So again, it takes time to get back to full speed, but it's not great. But hey, we're done for the clubs now. The first block of the URC is finished.
Yeah, so let's just sort of go and round it up. We'll do one last bit on the URC before we move on to the internationals and look forward to Fiji, right? Mm-hmm. So we finished the URC. We're 6 games in. We stopped for the autumn. Glasgow Warriors are in second place with 23 points. And Edinburgh are in joint 10th or 11th with Benetton with 6 points. Now, going into this, my initial thought is I think Glasgow Warriors won't want the break, but Edinburgh will. Because Glasgow have got a good bit of form going, they've got a good bit of momentum going. International break kills all that. And with Edinburgh, they've had such a poor start to the season that I think them being able to stop it for a month and hopefully their players get a couple of wins with Scotland and get some confidence coming back into the Edinburgh camp, I think Edinburgh will be quite happy with the break coming when it does.
That's fair. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think for the majority of the Edinburgh team, the break's needed.
Mm-hmm.
You've now got the month to reassess and proper have a look at what's happening, what does work, what doesn't work, sort of thing. Obviously, the bigger names will be with the Scotland team. Like you said, get some wins, build confidence, bring it back to the club.
Yeah. I'm thinking like when I picked my...
I do keep saying though that it's not great. It's not been a great start for Edinburgh, but at least we've now got we've got Leinster, we've done the South Africa tour, like that's done.
Mm-hmm.
It's swath, and now it's time to.
Is it expectations maybe that make you annoyed at Edinburgh or its performance? Because like we looked at it and you think, look, Leinster are the toughest team in the league at the moment, and if you're going to play them any time of the season, you'd want them the first game because you might catch them off guard, and they might be a bit rusty. Like you see a lot of upsets on day one, like Ulster beating Glasgow, for instance.
Yeah.
And then you go straight into your South Africa tour while the Boks are away at the Rugby Championship. Is it a point where we thought to ourselves, do you know what? We're probably going to pick up a couple of points we wouldn't have otherwise picked up here? Or is it just that Edinburgh have been as poor as they have and we expected more?
I don't know really. But I've not really thought about that. It's tricky because I always going to games saying that we're going to win. And that's more because if I go into a game thinking we're going to lose, I ain't watching it. Why would I waste my time if I think we're going to lose a game? I know what Edinburgh can do, and they're just not doing it. I don't know if that's me thinking too much of them. I don't know if that's the players getting into their own head thinking, oh, well, the Irish boys are away, the Boks are away, like it's going to be easy.
I don't think that's what it is, if I have to be honest. And look, I'm with you. I've said at the beginning of the season, if you look at all the squads in the URC on paper, Edinburgh are a top 4 side. But you keep thinking, oh, when's this team going to gel? When's this team going to gel? And, one season you're like, But then it happens 2 seasons in a row, 3 seasons in a row, and are we going to be looking at a 4th season in a row where this team that's filled with international stars all over the pitch, one of the best funded teams in the competition, are going to struggle to make the playoffs? I mean, at what stage for the Edinburgh players' own career do they think I'm going to have to go somewhere else yet? Because playing careers are short.
Yeah.
So you've got the rumours of Duhan going to La Rochelle, and now the way that Edinburgh are at the moment, I wouldn't blame him.
No, we spoke about that last week. It was very much that, obviously, until the Cardiff game, that Duhan looked like he wasn't getting involved because of whatever setup. And then he was getting more involved. He did really well against Cardiff, and then the referee against Ospreys kind of put the fear in him, so he kind of went into his shell a little bit. I don't know. If he goes, fair play to him. If he doesn't, you're going to have to have plays that involve Duhan. Then he's too good to not.
Right? And I was thinking of this just before you came on. If you were we looked at Glasgow and Edinburgh, and on paper, a lot of time, Edinburgh looked like they had the better squad. Now, if you were Franco Smith and the SRU came to you and said, look, you've got free reign, we want to turn Glasgow into the Scottish equivalent of Leinster, you can pinch any players from Edinburgh that you want going into next season. Just because of, the demand, the dog that Franco Smith has, I was thinking of this, like, realistically, how many players off of Edinburgh do you think Franco Smith would take? I mean, disregarding Pierre Schumann and Duhan van der Merwe, I'll go through it in my head one by one, and I don't think there's many at all. Maybe Wes Houston, but he's not even Scottish. Other than that, I don't think there's many that he would take across to Glasgow.
I would Ben Muncaster just because of the season he's had. I think Ben.
Yeah, Ben Muncaster maybe, but where would he fit in? Is he going to move Darge or Matt Fagerson out of position?
But Ben Muncaster can play 8 as well, so it's not like you're moving.
Is he going to move Dempsey off of?
You asked me who would go across. I gave you a name. I didn't think about it.
Yeah, so I think Schumann would go across. I don't think Ashman at the moment would get into the Glasgow side. Darcy Ray, I don't think would. I don't think Gilchrist and that would get in. I mean, Muncaster and Maggie, maybe, but
I don't think Maggie.
Yeah. Ross Thompson wouldn't get in. I don't think Ali Price would get in.
Ross Thompson's just left Franco Smith, so I don't think he'd be.
Duhan would probably get across. But I'm not sure if he's a Franco Smith type player. Darcy, maybe. I'm looking at the centres. I don't think any of the centres would get in. Wes Houston, maybe.
I know. It's a really weird hypothetical. I get where you were going from, though, but it's just hard to pinpoint. But hopefully this is time to reevaluate for Edinburgh, and then come the end of November, properly get going.
We both say that out of a place of love. Like you and I are at almost every Edinburgh home game. We want to see them do a lot better. They just, at the moment, they'll know themselves that they're underperforming. But look, let's move across to the internationals.
Yes.
I'm absolutely buzzing at the thought of getting back to Murrayfield next week.
Can't come quick enough.
Completely different feeling.
Yeah. And Scottish Rugby did that really fun thing. Like when we were sitting years yesterday, and it's just like, this time next week we'll all be at Scottish Gas Murrayfield. And I'm like, in the world of doing it. Yeah.
And I think a lot of people get it. There's a little magic with international stadiums, and I get it. Like the first time of the year I go to a game and you walk through the tunnel and you see the pitch open up in front of you, that gives me butterflies every single time. And it's
every time Flower Scotland starts, goosebumps, forever goosebumps.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I remember
I'm excited.
when. Sorry, go on.
No, I was just saying I'm excited, but I was going to talk about the team, but I'll let you say your story first.
Oh, I was going to say when we went to get the Arnold Clark jerseys where they were doing the Peter Vardy trade-ins. I remember they had one of the gates open onto the pitch, and for those of you that have never been to Murrayfield or the shop, in Murrayfield they have a store, and they were doing a trade-in where if you gave your Peter Vardy jersey in, they'd give you an Arnold Clark one, the newer one, for free. So we went in to swap it, but the guys were doing some works at the stadium at the time, and the gate was open, and I got sort of that view into the stadium, and it was empty at the time, but all the sponsors were still up and everything, and I got that same sort of goosebumps feeling at the time. And sometimes it can be a little bit of a tease when you're walking down to the Hive. And again, for those of you that have never been or don't know, the Hive is built literally right next door to Murrayfield, so you have to walk through and past Murrayfield to get to the Hive, and the backdrop is just Murrayfield Stadium. And it can be a bit of a tease, sort of walking past the big house to get to the wee house.
Especially when you depend on the opposition and you see like international caliber players just walking out, and you're like, you should be next door.
Oh, the players must feel that when they're in the dressing room because they use Murrayfield changing rooms.
They use Murrayfield changing room, yeah.
Like if you've got a load of box sitting at the changing rooms of Murrayfield, they'll walk out and look to the left and see the actual Murrayfield pitch, but then have to walk around and go through the car park to get back out into the Hive.
Yeah, must be a weird feeling.
Yeah. So I'll go through the squad selections. Our loose heads, we've got Jamie Batty, Nathan Macbeth, Peter Schumann, and Rory Sutherland. Hookers, Ewan Ashburn, Patrick Harrison, Dylan Richardson. Your tight heads, Xander Fagerson, Will Hurd, Elliot Miller-Mills, and Darcy Ray. Second rows, Scott Cummings, Alex Craig, Grant Gilchrist, Ewan Johnson, Alex Samuel, and Max Williamson. Our back rows are Josh Bayliss, Gregor Brown, Luke Crosby, Rory Darge, Jack Dempsey, Freddie Douglas, Matt Fagerson, Ben Muncaster, and Jamie Ritchie. Moving on to the backs, our scrum halves, we've got Jamie Doby, George Horn, Ali Price, and Ben White. Our standoffs are Adam Hastings, Tom Jordan, and Finn Russell. What a couple of names in there. Centres, Matt Curry, Rory Hutchinson, Hugh Jones, Stafford McDowell, Mosese Tuipulotu, and Sione Tuipulotu, also the new captain. And our back three options, we've got Darcy Graham, Blair Kinghorn, Harry Patterson, Aaron Reid, Kyle Rowe, Duhan van de Merwe. A quick shout out to the players that have been ruled out through injury are Yavin Sebastian, Murphy Walker, Robbie Smith, Cam Henderson, Sam Skinner, Andy Christie, Euron Ferry, Cameron Redpath, Kyle Stain, and Ollie Smith.
Does that not just say how good our depth is now that they're not in the squad because of injury?
Yeah, which look, it's calmed me a little bit because I was quite annoyed that for Ewan Ferry especially not being involved. I didn't know he was injured, so
yeah,
it's a pity for him because I think he probably deserved a call up.
But it'll drive him as well. That'll be his goal. Get back on the pitch. Get game time for Glasgow. I want that Scotland jersey.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the biggest omissions really are Kyle Stain and Andy Christie. They are
for the injured side of things. Yeah, that's not what I thought when you said omissions. I was like, and here we go.
Okay, no, don't worry. He's next. But Kyle Stain and Andy Christie, like
big losses,
our strongest possible 15s on form at this time. For me, both of them make the starting 15. So they're huge losses.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Now, the man, the myth, the legend, Johnny Matthews. Some people call him Rugby Jesus on Twitter, or X as it's now called. He scores tries for fun. Or was it? I saw something trying to explain to somebody why Johnny Matthews isn't in the squad. Must be mad. I was like, is he the league's top scorer for the last 2 seasons? Yes. Is he injured? No. Does he have major competition in his position? No. Is he been selected? No. I've got a theory on this. I could see Townsend telling, and maybe I'm being hopeful here, Matthews, that look, you are getting called up to the squad, but I could see, oh no, 3 or 4 days before the Box game, someone's gone down with injuries. Johnny Matthews has been called up into the squad.
Oh, what? So like what we did with Finn for the All Blacks game, like, oh no, someone that was never going to get played is hurt. Finn Russell's in. Like it wasn't planned. Is that what you're right? Okay.
Patrick Harrison or Ewan Ashman or Richardson has dropped out due to injury. Johnny Matthews has been called into the squad, and then next thing you know, Johnny Matthews starts against the Box.
It's a weird one, right? Because me and you have had this discussion basically since the squad got announced.
Mm-hmm.
Would I have picked Johnny Matthews? Yes. Am I upset he's not? Am I upset he's not in the squad? Not really.
I am.
I know you are. We've had this out like all week. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't have all the ins and outs. I'm not there. There's only two people that know why he's not there. One's Johnny Matthews and one's Gregor Townsend. But there's obviously a big reason, and feel free if people know the reason to comment or message me or Dan what the answer is. But he was not in the Six Nations squad at all. He was not on the summer tour, which was probably the least surprising because the tour he didn't really need. Do you know what I mean? The tour was right, fine. And he's not in the autumn. He's not been in any plans for Scotland in 2024, basically.
Look, I get Ashman, Patrick Harrison, Dylan Richardson. They're all fairly young. I'd have to check. I think Johnny Matthews must be about 30.
Yes, he's an older boy. Yeah.
I'm hoping this isn't favouritism because I couldn't get my head around it last season when Johnny Matthews was number one for Glasgow, but he couldn't get into the Scotland squad. And George Turner, who wasn't starting for Glasgow most of the time, was starting for Scotland, but he wasn't starting at club level.
See, it's strange because I've said it to you that I've had people do the whole. If you ever thought, I'm not saying I agree with it. It's just an interesting theory that he's not a good hooker. He's very no, but he's very good at the driving maul because Franco Smith has made that a great plan.
Mm-hmm.
But it might not just be Johnny Matthews because the other week Grant Stewart scored the exact same way. So it's just good. Do you know what I mean? It's just a play that works really well, and it just so happens that Johnny Matthews gets on the tail end of it. That's what people are thinking. That he's not.
A bit of that, but my rebuttal to that is, I think Franco Smith is one of the best coaches around, and if Johnny Matthews wasn't doing the basics right, just wasn't getting lineouts right, or was a bad scrummager or something like that, he wouldn't be getting in that Glasgow squad. The minimum bar that Franco Smith has set for his players, if Johnny Matthews wasn't very good at the basics of being a hooker, he wouldn't.
There's obviously something. I don't think it's favouritism because Paddy Harrison's 20 years old. So how's that? That can't be favouritism. Dylan Richardson, until the summer, wasn't capped from 2021. So there was 3 years where he wasn't even thought of in the Scotland team. So that can't be a favouritism reason. There has to be a. I'll never know. No one will ever know. Like I said, there's 2-3 people that know the answer, and they're not going to say anything.
The official line that Townsend used with, what was the name, Tongham English on BBC Scotland was that he was number 4th choice. He just wasn't informed. The players that he's picked, Richardson, Harrison, and Ashman, are above him on form. Now, as far as I'm aware, Richardson's not had many minutes under his belt this season, and I wouldn't say that Ashman's on form. So it feels a little bit like, and that tour that you talked about, that where Finn Russell was our fourth or fifth choice fly half. And now this is what's making me think that he could be doing the same again with Johnny Matthews.
Yeah.
He says that he's just the others are on form. I don't buy it, right?
Do
Now,
you think Townsend? Sorry, do you think Townsend just says this just because he knows that like people will react like that's rubbish, and he's just sitting there like, I know that. I ain't giving you the real reason.
Well, yeah, I mean, I might be clutching at straws here, right? But he named a 45-man squad. He could have easily named a 46-man squad and put Matthews in it.
But with that, and I'm not saying no to Johnny Matthews, but where's the line? Because you could do 50. I remember Wales doing like a 55-man squad for a while. And I'm like, why have you named why do you need 55 players? Like, that's too much. So like, where's the line? Do you go? Because I originally penciled in 41 because I'm like, even that feels a bit much because usually it's like 37, 39 sort of thing.
But that's only when you're playing 3 games. Keep in mind Scotland are playing 4. So they are going to have a bigger squad than the likes of, England, for example, who might only be playing 3 games. We will have a bigger squad because we're playing an extra game.
To be fair, Townsend did say he does plan on using all 45 of them, which is exciting because I really want to see Freddie Douglas. 19 years old. He's an absolute sensation. Yeah. You've never seen. I was lucky enough to watch the under-20s in the summer for the World Trophy, which we won very convincingly.
Oh yeah.
And every week I would do a video of like who was my standouts. Yes, some videos I had like 6 or 7 standouts because the scorelines were that good. But Freddie Douglas was in that conversation every week, and I'm like, if you don't know who he is, he will turn over like Jamie Ritchie. He runs at you like Jack Dempsey, and he bounces people like Hamish Watson. He is a generational talent in the making. And the fact that he has not played for Edinburgh Firsts yet, and he's in the Scotland team, shows you that even Townsend's like, this kid is special.
Yeah, he's a big lad as well. Like, huge.
Oh, he's massive. I'm scared that I'm 6 years older than him. That's terrifying. But you were on about being upset that Johnny Matthews isn't in the team. Do you know what one really upset me? And now all the stories that are coming out about it isn't helping my case.
Right.
Johnny Gray. Yeah. I really wanted Johnny Gray. He was back. I understand. I could see it from both sides. He was out for over a year with a severe knee injury to the point we didn't know if we were going to see Johnny Gray again. He got a big move to Bordeaux, and he's been absolutely carving up. He's already put in Ironman chefs, tackling machine like the Johnny of old. And he said that he wanted to stay in France. Okay, and again, I get it. You've just came back. You don't want to risk it. I understand that. But there's others reports saying it was because Ritchie wasn't involved, and I think that is a load of rubbish, because then with that logic, are you trying to tell me that if Matt Fagerson wasn't selected, Xander would be like, well, I'm not playing. If
you can't compare those two. I think it's more, if those reports are to be believed, I think it's more because it's it meant to have been Richie Gray's final dance before he went off to Japan. Now, I can see both angles from it. Like, Townsend's basically said, look, we have to prepare for life after Richie Gray now. The Autumn Nations, this is peacetime rugby. So if there's any time that you want to, try someone before the Six Nations comes around, this is when you do it. But at the same time, look, Richie Gray was one of my favourite all-time players for Scotland. I would have loved to see him one last time. But so I can see both sides of it.
This is a bit that's annoying me, because I said this to you as well. Richie Gray went to France a couple of years ago now, and when he was playing sensational rugby for Toulouse, obviously, I want to say actually Vern Cotter. I might have been Vern and Gregor. It might have been that weird crossover. wanted Richie Gray back in the Scotland team. And he basically like, no, give it to the youngsters, blah, blah, blah. And at the time, I was like, okay, I respect that. But then the minute he re-signed for Glasgow, like the first thing he come out and said was, I'm ready to represent my country. I'm like, wait a minute, no. You can't just pick and choose when it suits you. Like, you're either available for us or you're not. So that's always left a little thing with me. And now that Johnny Gray's in France, doing the whole I'm staying in France, I'm like, are we not going to see you play now? Because got the same attitude? Or
I disagree with you on both of them. I think, Richie Gray, when he pulled out of international selection moves in France, I think when he came back, I think that was him saying that, look, I'm available for international selection again if needed.
That's just a horrible thing, because like he was like peak. Like we didn't get peak Richie Gray, really. He was playing fantastic rugby week in, week out for Toulouse in the top 14, winning top 14 titles, and then going like, no, give it to the younger. So it sounded like he almost like, in a way, retired from international rugby. But then, then he comes out and goes, oh no, I'm available. And that, it just didn't sit well with me, because I was like, well, no, why were you not available when you were playing arguably your best rugby? When, let's be honest,
the games that they play in France, though, you could argue that
I get that. I understand it's hard to control players out with Scottish clubs, but it just annoys me the fact, like, how it was done and how it was worded as well, probably. Maybe. And now that like Johnny's not in the team as well, I'm like, are you just going to do this now? Are you going to give it the whole? I hope not. I would love to see Johnny Gray in the Six Nations. Like, right, okay, he's settled in Bordeaux now. He's had the game rust off his chest. He's comfortable. He's ready to go. I hope that's what happens.
You might find we'll have that conversation towards the Six Nations, right, with Johnny Gray. But if you look at it from his point of view, he's been out of the game for almost 2 years now.
I do get it from his point of view. But
international level is a jump up again. If he was to come back and play for Scotland and get an injury and put unnecessary strain on himself, long term, he might not get another pro contract again. He might have to go down to the second division, to get a game. So I think for John Gray, it's probably more trying to keep himself right and making sure he gets a full season to show what he can do. And then after that, he can maybe look at going back and playing for Scotland.
I hope so. I really don't want to go through all that again. But just because you mentioned second division there, and again, this is no disrespect to him. I do find it very strange that Ewan Johnson is in this team. I mean that in the nicest way. I know fine well he'll probably play the Portugal game and probably play like Scotland A versus Chile. That's fine. I get that. Mm-hmm. It's just really weird that he's playing second division French rugby and he's in the Scotland team.
Yeah.
Where there's and I know that like Edinburgh haven't done great, but like if you were to put Marshall Sykes in there ahead, it might make more sense.
Has he ever got a cap for Scotland before?
Marshall has, yeah.
No, Ewan Johnson.
Yeah, Ewan Johnson made his debut in the summer.
Oh, okay.
But it's just, again, it's not Ewan Johnson's fault. He's obviously done something very well on that summer tour, and then the Scotland coach kept an eye on him. It's just, when you look at like who they're playing week in, week out, I'm like, you're not playing top level talent. I'm not saying every Edinburgh game is going to be against top level, but you know what I mean? Like URC is like a premium competition.
Mm-hmm. A bit like when Eddie Jones continued picking Saracens lads, even though they were playing in the championship, and just
it doesn't sit right.
Their edge wasn't there, even though they were quality players. And when they returned to the Premiership, they got their quality back. The season that they were playing in the championship, they just didn't have that competitive edge to them.
No, that's exactly what I'm thinking. I'm sure Ewan Johnson is great. second row. He's a very tall lad, which comes in handy for that position. But again, like, how hard are you going in Pro D2? I'm trying to say that without being disrespectful and harsh, but it's just a really weird one.
I don't follow a lot of Pro D2. There are 1 or 2 pages that I listen to and 1 or 2 podcasts that occasionally mention it. Now, from what I hear, now I couldn't tell you what teams they are. I think the top 4 or 5 teams in the Pro D2 get so much investment in them. Their facilities apparently are better than half the URC teams. It's just they've got like billionaire owners that get like football style like medical facilities and training grounds and that. Now, I don't know if Ewan Johnson plays for one of them or not. I've just heard that at the top end of the Pro D2 that there's so much money thrown at it because it's billionaires versions of let's buy a club and get it to the top of the rugby system, the way that a lot of billionaires do with football.
I imagine he's in one of those teams because he plays for Oyonnax, who got relegated from the top 14 last season.
Okay.
So I imagine they're one of the bigger teams. Mm-hmm. But again, it's nothing against him or that. It just seems very weird that you're. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No. Absolutely.
But that's my only big rant on that. It's not even a rant. I just felt a bit.
Yeah.
Weird.
Okay. So let's move on. New captain.
Yeah. You have to say it really slowly, his nickname. We'd made that joke. Yeah. Captain Nons, not something else. I don't think you can say on the internet. But yeah, Nons, Nonz, guns to the and everything. Yeah, great captain. I'm so happy that he's the captain.
Yeah, I think he's a great choice now. My gut reaction when it first saying my gut has changed from my gut reaction. Initially, I was like, can we just bite the bullet and stop messing about with, Finn Russell being co-captain or vice captain? Let's just give it to Russell. But now that I've had time to settle on it, Tui Pelotu is a great choice of captain. He's been part of Scotland's leadership group for a while. He captains Glasgow more times than not. I think he's vice captain when Stain isn't playing. And he's just a charismatic, influential player. Like, if you ever hear Tui Pelotu being interviewed, like, he's honest, he's straightforward, and you can't help but like the guy.
Do you know what else is really ticking a huge box that I think we've kind of missed?
What?
For captains, he's got aura about him.
Yeah,
you see him on the pitch. Yeah, you see him come on the pitch, and you're just like, "Here we go, here we go." That's just what we're wanting.
Yeah, he's got that aura about him, and I think when he's not in the Scotland squad, we suffer. Like, we saw what happened to our Six Nations campaign the second he dropped out injured. So him and Finn Russell, just that combo with the two of them is just really, really good. I think it's a great choice of captain, and I'd be happy to see him captain Scotland all the way to the next World Cup. I'd be happy to see him hold down that for the next 4 years.
I mean, Townsend's already said that this is a long-term plan. This isn't just, let's see how he does. This is like, I want Sione, my captain, going forward.
I also can't wait for the post-match interviews and to watch
the great
meltdown. Yeah, I think the boys did good, crikey. It's going to be brilliant. Yeah, the boys. You doing a question better than I do, but
yeah.
Yeah, he's look. I'm all here for it. So we know that he's going to play all the big games, and we know that he's going to play South Africa and Australia.
He doesn't have to play Portugal. And again, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. You don't need.
I'm not sure he'll play Fiji, if I'm being honest. Just because I think
that might be the most random thing ever, though. Like, you're Scotland captain, by the way, you're not playing our first game.
Well, and if he does, I think he'll play a very minor role in it. Because Fiji are such a big physical side that they are a team that you have a very high risk of getting an injury playing Fiji. So when we're playing South Africa next, I'm not sure how out the big guns, how many of them that you play, and how many of them that you bench. I mean,
well, you know what?
I'm sure Adam Hastings is probably shitting it. Probably
No,
got the witch doctor.
Do not let Adam Hastings play the Flying Fijians.
No,
For his own sake.
Get them the family and friends section.
Oh dear. But you've already kind of jumped the gun, so why don't we just go straight for it? Who's your team for Fiji in the first game of the Open Nation Series?
Right. Okay, so I'm in two minds about this, right? I don't know whether I just go out full whack, strongest team, get them warmed up for South Africa, or do I maybe go in slightly weaker and wrap sort of the big boys up in cotton wool a wee bit? I'm leaning towards the second option. I probably have the bench absolutely stacked. So that 16 to 23 shirt, I would have all usual starting 15s, and I'd start a lot of the people that might be on the bench. I'd start them in the Fiji game, just because one, it's outside the international window, and number two, you want some of the boys.
Is it though? Is it actually outside the international window? Because, and I don't know if I just picked them up wrong and got way too excited. The Bears Saints game down in the Prem this weekend. They're on about Rory Hutchinson, how good he was. And then the commentator just went, well, he'll be flying up to Edinburgh this weekend to join the Scotland team in prep for their Fiji game. And I'm like, is he playing? Is he allowed to play?
Well, I've heard that I think it's for training. I don't think he'd be ready to start. But I've been told that the Fijian players that play down in the Prem aren't available for this game.
I imagine then we'd be in the same boat then.
Yeah. So we're only picking from.
We'll just play it thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So look, I'm going to go front row. I'm going to start Suz.
Yep.
Patrick Harrison. Jamie Batty. No, not Jamie Batty. He's a loose head. Darcy Ray.
There you go. I was going to say that's revolutionary there, but okay. Okay, right. I would start. Yeah, no, I'm the same. Front row, full the same on the front row. Yeah.
Yeah. Second row. Who am I playing? I'd probably go Max Williamson. Oh, it's tough. Cummings.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah. We've already had a difference.
All right.
I think Max Williamson will start, but I think it's with Grant Gilchrist. And it's nothing against Scott. I love Scott. Grant Gilchrist was one of the 4 Edinburgh players that were rested, which tells me he's going to feature heavily.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah. No, I take that back. I'll swap it. Look, I think that Cummings on form's a better player than Gilchrist at the moment. He's got more height as well, I believe. But actually, no, he doesn't have more height, but I think he's on better form. But yeah, I forgot that Gilchrist was rested, so yeah, I'd expect him to start.
Plus, you've then got that new face with experience blend of Max and Gilchrist, which is quite comfortable. I like that. Back row, though. Who you got in the back row?
Right. Well, I am going to go Josh Bayliss, Luke Crosby, and
How are you getting Bayliss? He plays for Bath.
Oh yeah, crowd outside the international window. Yeah, you're right. Damn.
I like it though. That's annoying, but I really like the sound of that back row. But no.
Yeah. I was thinking, Portia, would it be bad if I gave Freddie Douglas a run out?
No, it will not be bad. Because I said this, so I did a video the other day of where do I see the 5 uncapped players feature this autumn. And I was like, realistically, Freddie Douglas probably makes his debut off the bench against Portugal and then puts a shift in for Scotland A against Chile. I was like, but he's that much of a talent, I would love to see him in even more games than that.
No,
So
I'm expecting a stacked bench, but I think we'll go slightly lighter for starting. So fine, I'm going to go Freddie Douglas, Luke Crosby, Ben Muncaster.
Oh, I like it. I like it.
Back row for Fiji.
Okay. I'm not having Luke Crosby.
Right.
I'm going to give it to... I'm going to still take Rory Darge.
Darge starts, okay.
I would have Darge, Muncaster, and probably Jamie Ritchie in the six with like Freddie Douglas come off the bench.
See, if we were playing Australia, maybe. But see, I just think that we're going to go fringe bench sort of players to start against Fiji. No disrespect to Fiji, but Scotland are teaming them, and they're missing some players as well. And I think the bench will be full noise.
Oh, the bench can be full noise, isn't
it? Scrum halves. Do you know what? I went first with the forwards. You can go first for the backs.
You're going to go first for the backs. Okay.
Scrum half for you.
So, half backs, 9 and 10. It's all Glasgow Warriors. I have Jamie Dobie starting at 9 with Tom Jordan at 10. Get him capped.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I probably agree. I'm looking at them. Jamie Dobie, Tom Jordan, Adam Hastings shivering on the bench.
Shivering on the bench. Not because it's cold, just because the thought of hearing Bull Vanaka. No, don't do it.
Right, go on. Who starts in the centre for you?
Centres. Tui Polotu. Yes, I am going Captain Sione and Brother Masesi. Because, listen, look, it's been rumoured for about a year that this is what they want. You may as well do it on your first goal.
I am going to go McDowell and Tui Polotu Jr.
Masesi and staff. I like it. I do like it.
And staff. I think Captain Tui Polotu will be on the bench. To try and avoid it, I expect him to come on, with 20, 30 minutes to go.
Who's captaining your team then? Who's captaining from the word go?
I'll get to that in a minute.
Okay. That means he's not thought of it through.
Yeah. I mean, Jordan, maybe. I think Gilchrist could captain it from the go.
Yeah, that's fair. That's okay. Okay. Back three. Oh, God. Kyle Rowe.
Yeah.
Darcy Graham.
Oh.
And probably Harry Patterson.
I'd also start Rowe, but I'm going to go Doohan over Darcy Graham.
I just think Darcy's been out. They want him back.
Actually, no. Let me take that back. Take that back completely. Darcy and Doohan on the wings. Kyle Rowe at fullback.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like that as well.
Yeah, no.
Can I just say, right, this whole bit was pointless because I will probably change my team during the week. I do it all the time. Every time I write off like a 15, 90% of what I've said will remain true, but there's always that maybe him.
Right.
But yeah, great teams. And the best part of it, Dan, we're going to be at Scottish Gas Murrayfield next week.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
Pints will be flowing. Flower Scotland, chest out, loud and proud. All the noise. Sold out crowd as well.
16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Sorry, I'm just having a look at my bench here.
What are you doing? Anyway, what's prediction?
Right, well, just to finish off my squad, let me run you through my bench. So I'm going a 5-3 split on my bench because I think it's going to be a stacked bench to minimise risk of injury but get them game time. So my bench is going to be Pierce Schumann, Dylan Richard. Oh no,
No,
I've done that again. Ashman, that's the only other possible. So Schumann, Ashman, Xander Fagerson, Cummings, Darge, Horn, Hastings, HP Sauce.
Fair, I like that. So, based off what I've said, because I didn't start Duhan, I started HP Sauce. My bench would be Ashman, Shuey, Xander, Scott, Fagerson, or Dempsey, because I've got Rodar starting.
Yeah.
As much as I'd like to see Freddie Douglas do it, if we're going like you go full noise off the bench, sorry, Freddie. George Horn at scrum half, Adam Hastings in the 22 jersey, and Duhan in the 23.
Duhan in the 23? Oh, that's a brave one.
60 minutes on the clock. Those Fijian boys are getting tired. Kyle Rowe moves to fullback. Harry Patterson comes off and Duhan's fresh legs comes on.
We've spoken about this before. Imagine hardly being able to catch your breath, blowing a gasket, and you watch Duhan van der Merwe jog on from the sidelines. I would
retire there now. But I'm excited. We're now in the international window. And you can see, look, I was miserable at the start of this episode. We were talking about Edinburgh, and I was miserable, and now I'm all happy because it's international. And I get to where the
watch Gas Murrayfield. I've got a new seat for this one. It's outside my usual seat, so I'm always excited. Oh, I was going to say to you, just because England are playing the All Blacks early, we should get down to the ground a little bit early, just so we can grab a couple of pints and watch it on the big screen. Hopefully, watching England get absolutely spanked by the All Blacks.
Wouldn't be a Scottish pod without saying something like that, would it?
no, it wouldn't. Okay, so 2 bits. We'll go and we'll do our score predictions. I want to touch upon the fantasy rugby that we've got going, and then we'll finish it off for this week, and we'll come back to see if we are right or wrong. So I'll let you start with this one. Score predictions.
Scotland get the win by 20 points.
20 points.
20 points. Nice little cushion to open up the little nations.
Scotland.
I don't know the exact number, but it will be by 20. Minimum.
See, I would have been on that sort of same route as you, but I expected so many big wins during the summer tour, and I got other than the Canada game, I was really frustrated with that. So
you already know I did a rant on that. Without name dropping you, you made me rant on a video.
Yeah, I could. Don't worry, I knew that was targeting at me because I just spoken to you about it, and then 5 minutes later, Blissful's uploaded a video ranting about the exact thing we had just spoken about. Don't worry, I didn't take it personally.
That's fine, man. I still love you. It's all good.
So yeah, I'm gonna go Scotland to win comfortably. But Scotland by 16.
How's that any different to what? That's fine. How is 16 not comfortable compared to 20?
I did say comfortable. I don't think they're going to blow them out the water. Like, I don't think it's going to be, we've beaten them by 20, 30, 40 points type thing.
Go for it.
We'll beat them by, I'd say, between 14 and 16.
I'm not hating that. A win's a win. I will take a win every day of the week over with 1 point if need be. So
no, absolutely. Look, just because we've hit just over an hour now, let's wrap it up with one last we have a couple of fantasy leagues going. For those of you that are big fans of fantasy rugby, I'm running them off of my TikTok account. If you don't have TikTok, you can still participate. So we've got one for content creators that we'll talk about online. I'm sure we'll talk about this on the podcast, but we've also got one that's open to the general public. When you download the Fantasy Rugby app, now this is the Six Nations version, not the Super Brew version. I believe the number is 9551 is the lead number, or if you just type in Rugby Realms, Rugby Realm onto there, you'll see Rugby Realms League. I'll come up. It's open to anyone. Just click and join it. I'm thinking of doing maybe a little prize for the winner or whatever. But yeah, feel free to click into it, join it. The more people we've got in there, the better.
Yeah, I love that. Who doesn't love fantasy rugby? It's always fun.
Yeah, I think it's more. There's a lot of people that have never tried it before, and they don't get it. And look, I
say that I love international fantasy rugby. I can't do league ones. I always forget.
I think it's because the squads come out in so short notice compared to the international ones. Because the internationals, you usually get a couple of days' notice, but the clubs, you get 1 day's notice. And if you're busy or you're working, and if you're keeping an eye on 6 different squads, and then you have to, I want to see what team this one puts out before I decide what player's going here. Yeah. But look for the Six Nations Fantasy one. If you've never played it before, it's fairly simple, right? You join it, and you've got a certain budget. I think it's 230 points, and each player costs X amount of points. So you'd have someone like Duhan who would cost you 19 points, and you'd have someone like Alex Craig that might only cost you 9 points. So you can't go full whack out, and you can't pick more than 4 players from the same country. So if you pick 4 Scots, for instance, and you wanted to pick a 5th, you're going to have to pick somebody else, or you're going to have to trade in one of your Scots. And depending on how well that player plays on the pitch, the more points you get. And then there's a winner at the end of each round, and it gets totaled at the end of the autumn. And then we'll have a winner.
Simples.
Yeah, simples. Anyway, that's it from me and Murray for this week. We will be back probably with sore voices and sore heads next Sunday after the Fiji game. And we'll see you then. Yeah,
looking forward to it. Till then, enjoy the rugby, because international rugby's back!
Yes!